Okay, guys, let's talk a little fishing, a little bit more technique fishing this time, instead of a tournament overview or something that everybody's used to seeing on these videos from me. I want to talk about something that I love to do. That's skipping docks. If there's some docks on a lake, you can be assured that I'm going to go out and try to find if there's a bite or the fish are related to those docks. And if they are, that's probably one of the ways that I'm going to try to catch those fish, because I just know fish relate to them year round, and it's a technique that I kind of have a mental block with. I just love to do it. So some guys like to go out deep, some guys like to beat the bank. I love to hit those docks. So as a result, I've done this a lot. I've been fishing docks, High Rock, Gaston, docks like the lakes that have just a ton of docks on them. Okay, not all docks are created equal. We all know that. We can save that discussion for later. I get a lot of questions from back boaters about how do you get your lure so far up underneath there, and how do you this and that, how do you set your reel up. And so let me just go through it real quick on how I set my rod reel line combination up. The pole that I use is a medium heavy. Okay, it's a 7-foot St. Croix Triumph model. It is like I said, a medium heavy. The reason I like the medium heavy is because of the tip. You see how fast that tip is? You don't have a lot, but it's enough that it will load up when you're trying to roll cast, okay? You don't need a bunch for it to roll up on, but the most important part is you want that much backbone, okay? So that when you do get hit underneath that dock, who knows where they're going to go. They're going to come out the wrong way. They're never going to come out straight. It's rare that ever happens. So you're going to need something to be able to lean back on them with and put some pressure on them, okay? Which brings me to the next point, is your line. If you're going to throw up into the Craglies, up underneath those docks, you're going to want a line that can withstand that. I used to throw 12 quite a bit. Everybody laughed at me. But I liked the feel of it. I liked the invisibility of it. But you can't disagree with the fact that if you're up underneath that dock and this is rubbing against those Craglies underneath there, 20-pound test is going to withstand better than 12. You're not going to get as many bites, yes, but I would rather worry about that once I have a fish on the line, okay? So anyway, so I've bumped up quite a bit to 20. Now, the only time I'll drop back down to 17-ish, maybe even 15, is if I'm going to someplace like Lake Lanier that is crystal clear, or Smith Mountain Lake is a really good example, where you need the water is just so clear there. So 20-pound fluoro. Hey, I've gone back to a lot of mono, because I like the way mono stretches and gives even more flex. But underneath those docks, you really want that fluoro. So 20 pounds. Teach yourself to throw with 20. It takes a little bit to learn, because it's a little bit, there's a little bit of management issues with jumping off the reel sometimes. But trust me, you want to learn to be able to do it with 20. Okay, so that's the pole. That's the line. What do I throw? I throw a couple different things. When I'm underhand pitching, and we'll go out in the backyard here in a minute, and I'll show you a couple of those techniques. But when I'm underhand pitching, I like to throw a Senko with a pegged 1/4 ounce weight in front of it. That's a reaction bite. That's a pure 100% reaction bite. That Senko is nice and clean. With that 1/4 ounce on there, you zip that dude up underneath there. The fish sees the skip, and then it's falling. And it's falling pretty quick. With even, 1/4 ounce doesn't sound big, but it's still falling fairly fast. But I'm not looking for a fish that's kind of interested. I'm looking for a reaction bite, or I'm looking for a feeding fish. I'm going to sing that thing up underneath there, let it hit the bottom, pick it up once or twice, and I'm out of there. I'm going to do it again at a different target, okay? So I'm moving fast. The other lure that I will throw is a jig, just like a lot of other guys. When you're first starting this technique, I recommend that you start off with a 1/2 ounce. I found that it's easier to throw a little bit heavier weight to get it skipping across the surface. Here's the secret to getting that lure to skip. You need a nice big flat surface to, when it hits the water, for it to do its thing on, okay? You can see that this is a Strike King Greg Hackney skipping jig, swimming jig. I'm sorry. And well, you can't skip with that. Yeah, you can. Once you learn the technique, you can skip with almost anything. You can throw a spinnerbait out there and skip a spinnerbait. Pretty hard, but you can do it. You can throw a chatterbait and skip a chatterbait. It's the technique is the technique. You just have to have confidence in it and maybe change a couple things on your reel. But by all means, you can skip that dude out there. So a football head jig, pitch and flipping jig, a swimming jig, you can do it once you learn the technique. Okay, so start off with a ½ ounce. I like a 3/8 ounce. It just plays on the water so much better. I mean, it really, once that guy gets to skipping on the water, you can't hardly stop the 3/8 ounce. I mean, you're going to be bumping into the rocks on the shoreline. It's going to take off so fast. Okay, so here's the part that everybody has questions about. How do I set my reel up? And the reason everybody has questions about the reel is because they're getting the hand and arm signals, or hand and arm signals. They're getting the hand muscle technique down for to be able to pitch it out there, but they'll start getting bird's nests. So what do they start doing? They start tightening down, and that's kind of the wrong way to go. You need to set this up a little bit looser rather than tighter, because if it's tightened too far, you're gonna be slinging. You're gonna be putting too much effort into it. As soon as you put too much effort into it, you're gonna be squeezing this, and it's gonna go right into it, and you're gonna get a bird's nest. Okay, so what I would suggest is here on the side with the anti-backlash brakes system. Some reels are different. They have the dial, or but it's still the same. You're kicking out or turning on brakes. Okay, these type I really like because they just have the little knobs that you can just pop out and it's out. Okay, learning, I suggest you turn them all on. Now, Greg, you just said don't do that. Well, learning, you're going to need that heavy anti-backlash so that you can learn the technique. If you keep getting bird's nests when you're learning, you're going to put this thing down, and you're going to go pick up your KBD 1.5 because that's what you really want to throw that day because you want to catch fish. So when you're learning, just put them all on, okay? You can always start taking them off when you start getting cocky and you start getting a better feel for it, okay? The other side, the casting brake on this side, you want to set that up so when you hold your rod tip up, you depress the release, your lure goes down, hits the water. As soon as it hits the water, the reel should maybe turn once, and it might just loosen up the top coil or two. If it gets into a big bird's nest, it's way too loose. You need to tighten that dude down until it hits the water. My thumb is off the reel, and it hits the water, and it just barely boogers up a little bit. That's set correctly, okay? If you're on the back of somebody's boat, and somebody's on the front of the boat, and he's zinging that thing 500 feet every time, and you're not, and you're sitting there loosening everything up, it's just going to cause you problems, okay? Stay with those brakes where they're at when you're learning. Keep that thing exactly where I told you. And as you get better and better, loosen these guys up. What I'll do, usually I have 2 out, okay? Depends how long it's been since I cleaned my reel. But I'll usually have 2 kicked out. When I start, if I know it's going to be a dock skipping day, in the morning, I don't know if it's because of the dew, if it's the temperature, what it is, it seems like my reels are a lot faster. So I'll kick another one out for an hour until things start getting nice and juiced up, or the sun starts coming up. Then I'll take that one off and do everything with my thumb. So let's go out in the backyard. We'll do some casts, and I'll show you the back half of this, actually the hand and arm muscle technique for it. But that's how I set my stuff up.